What's up, Facebook? It's Talk About It Tuesday. Back from Galveston here, and lucky to be joined by Ryan Holliday with iink. Ink's a new company on the roofing and insurance end of things. And Ryan, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, I couldn't be happier to be here, especially for tacos.
yeah. You hit up Taco Bell, is that right?
I did. It's a classic. It's right down the street, and I wasn't sure how serious we were about having the tacos, but as soon as you said, "Yeah, we need some tacos," all right. So I went and grabbed my 12-pack just in case this goes a little while, but hopefully I don't make it all the way through.
There you go. Yeah. So, well, like I said, thanks for joining us. We're excited to have you. Seems like just 2 weeks ago, and it was 2 weeks ago, I think, saw you up in Minneapolis, and we got to dine over some Juicy Lucy's up there in Minneapolis, which was a good time with you and Ken. Tell us, like I said, ink's kind of a new player in the game. Tell us a little about iink and, kind of what iink does.
So we're really setting out to solve a pretty big problem in the industry with regards to moving the payments, and more specifically, the insurance payments and the checks that come with the need for a mortgage endorsement. Our belief and really our goal is to make sure that all the homeowners in this process can get their lives back to normal faster than what they're used to now. So
one thing that's kind of, confusing maybe to me as a homeowner, and this is, really where it's good for, the contractor, the homeowner, whoever's watching this. And you hit on it a little bit, but would it make the most sense? And I think the answer is yes. I'll let you dive a little deeper into it. If I'm a contractor and I'm going to Mrs. Smith's house, knowing that this is going to be an insurance job, and I'm armed with iink in my back pocket, to help with that mortgage endorsement, it probably makes sense to have something in the contractor's hands that when he sits down at the table with Mrs. Smith, that he's letting them know about iink and that ink's going to be a part of this process, or could be a part of this process day one. So that way when the sales guy gets done, because a lot of these roofing companies, they're selling the job, they're subbing it out, and then they're trying to get everything collected and all that stuff. Is that how you kind of recommend it to the contractors, is going into the sales pitch with iink right away?
Absolutely. Like I said, the point of sale is, that's where you have the most trust with the homeowner. That's where they're excited. It's like Christmas Day. They're willing to learn. They want to learn about the process. I think the more that you educate them, the less anxious they're going to be throughout. And just as CompanyCam teaches folks to be prepared and document and just have those pictures, whether you think you're going to need them or not, because it's really it's better to have them than to not. So we'd rather the homeowner be aware of it up front in case it becomes a situation where it's a monitored claim with the mortgage company and they decide to do disbursements. So it's going to take a little bit longer. We don't want them to freak out because we're going to still handle that for them. But it's always good to be aware of what could happen. And we're more than happy to provide any sort of literature. And we really try to refer people to our website. To be perfectly honest, we're a company that's trying to eliminate paper from the process. So the more we can direct people to the site, and we are working on having some additional educational materials available on the site. So, when your sales guy's with the homeowner, we don't expect them to spend a ton of time explaining iink and how it works. But what we do expect is just to let the homeowner know that we're probably going to be involved in the process, especially if they have a mortgage. And once that happens, here's some videos for you to watch, or here's some content that iink has, or stop by their website to take a look at how the process works. But you'll be hearing from them, and they're going to what ink's going to do is take this process out of your hands, so you don't have to worry about chasing the money down with your mortgage company. Because the last thing you need right now, after you just had experienced a loss of your home, is to have to argue with your mortgage company about where's the money and when can my repairs begin. So that's really all, is just letting them know that we're going to be part of the process. And typically the homeowner's going to say, "Oh, okay, well, I trust, Bob the salesman here with ABC Roofing, and I trust ABC Roofing. So if Bob and ABC says that Ink's the company to go with when it comes time, then I'm good." So and they're it's funny because back when I was involved in more roofing sales, and I was a sales manager for a roofing company here in Florida for a while. Um, I used to make it a habit to read all the terms and conditions to the homeowner on the backside of our contract, and they want to know that stuff, but they also don't really care to hear it. So it's kind of it's a lot of trust, and it's a lot of relationship building, I think, at the point of sale that's going to really set the homeowner up to have those proper expectations throughout.
Absolutely. And from the homeowner's perspective, like myself, I completely agree. Knowing, hey, this ink company may be involved here at some point in time. Knowing that day one is a lot better than knowing it, 20 days into the process and then being told, hey, this ink company. And you may have touched on some of these and when you went choppy, and I don't know. I apologize if you did. So I know where ink is, and you've given, the audience a little bit of an idea of where ink is today. And I don't know how much you can or want to speak on, kind of the big picture, but what is kind of the bigger picture for ink? You guys are young and new, but I know that in talking to you, that the big picture is it's pretty exciting for me to hear. So it's got to be awesome for you guys. What can you share with the Facebook world on kind of where you guys want to be maybe in 12 months from now?
Well, I got to tell you, Mike, I mean, the response that we've gotten just this year really coming to market, and last year was more of a proof of concept, but the response we've gotten has been tremendous. And especially with other industry leaders such as yourself and like the Catalyst Group and Balance Claims and Contractor Coach and, Hearth, the companies that just kind of are bringing true solutions to the marketplace for all of them to come to us and really just provide us such awesome feedback. And it really tells us that we're on the right path. And from day one, our mission has always been the same. It's, making sure that we can help homeowners get their lives back, faster after a storm. Right now, with the platform that we have, we are able to do that. We are able to keep things moving a little bit faster. We are able to, in case there's an issue, we know who to escalate to at the mortgage company and how to do that. We know the mortgage company's turnaround times and how to schedule that on an appropriate follow-up schedule. So, and we're doing it, all day, every day. So we're able to stay on top of it, but we know it can be better. We know with what's available nowadays that the archaic systems that the mortgage companies are using and the insurance carriers are using, we know that they're looking for a new solution. But unfortunately, I think on the mortgage side, lost draft really isn't a money-making division of the bank, so they're not putting a lot of money towards their research and development. So, we're happy to do that. We're happy to go out and build the solution and take it to them because we see a future where, once the last verification is done throughout the process, and the last person has said yes, we've agreed to the terms of this transaction, the money can move in 5 minutes. It's not, we don't want to mailing a check is checks in general are just so old school. And think about where payments are going nowadays with blockchain and just ETFs and wire transfers and things like that. It's just a matter of, again, making sure that all the same goals and all the same checks and verifications throughout the process are accomplished. We're building a system that can accomplish that in minutes and move the money in minutes. So that's really what we see the future of Ink and the future of the payment solution within the insurance restoration industry.
Absolutely. And that's just in talking to you last year at the IRE, and then as we've gotten to know each other and each other's companies a little better, it's exciting where you guys, and I definitely think you're going to be there. And kind of the way CompanyCam fits in there is awesome too. Just with, hey, getting that proper documentation up front is going to expedite the process. And, once you guys get to where you're doing that in a matter of, hours, if not minutes, it's going to be really cool, really good. Looks like we've got a few people joining us here. It's, what would you say, contractor wise, I think that where you guys are kind of new to the playing field, and I don't even know if there's anybody doing, exactly what you guys are doing out there. I know there's people that are helping you get your money faster, but it's more or less a loan essentially is what those people are doing. You're paying the 10% of the deal and they say, hey, you can have your money in 48 hours, but it's a 10% fee, which is extremely steep. What would you say to the contractors out there that maybe are doing a lot of insurance work and aren't familiar with you, to maybe get, hey, Mr. Contractor, give me 10, 15 minutes of your time. This is what I want to give you. Give them the quick elevator pitch.
My first question would be what's your time worth, and is it worth 10% to have your money 2 to 3 weeks faster? Because 80% of the checks that are going in and out of the mortgage companies can typically come back in 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes faster. The ones that take a while, and they're being monitored, I get it. It's very difficult to manage a job when you only have 1/3 of or 50% of that first check, especially if it's if you have the ACV check and then depreciation check, you end up with half of that first check or 1/3 of that first check. It may not even cover materials. So I understand that in a lot of cases, unfortunately, the contractor is taking the essentially they're taking the brunt or the liability of the homeowner situation, because it's usually because the homeowner had a late on the mortgage. Sometimes it's because of the claim amount or the check amount being over 15 or 20,000 or 40,000. The parameters change based on that as well. But let's say it's a $12,000 roof job and the homeowner has a late on the mortgage. Well, that's why we do the mortgage verification, because number one, we don't think that a roof salesman should be asking those questions to a homeowner about their mortgage and if they've had any lates. And number two, if we've identified that, okay, yes, we can request an exception from the investor and try and get you more money. But the fact of the matter is, once that job's done, the entire process speeds up. So as soon as we can get a certificate of completion over to the mortgage company, and they would have already had all of the documentation, whether they asked for it in the beginning or not, we send it to them right away, just to get it out of the way. And on the back end, the other thing that you have to wait for is the third party inspection, which you and I have been in discussions with using CompanyCam as a viable replacement to having those inspections done. Because in reality, all the mortgage company wants to know is that those pictures were taken at a certain location at a certain time. If they really knew who was going out and representing their interest, I don't think they'd be too happy, because they're paying, I think $75 on average to an inspection company per inspection, when they're really sending out someone for $8 or $10 to take pictures that has no construction knowledge, that has, no idea. I was literally told one time on an inspection like that my job is to make sure that the house looks right. That was it. And that was who was out taking pictures and representing, I believe it was Freedom Mortgage, who's also affiliated with Bank of America. But $8, that's what they get paid to do it. So, again, we can get them that same information faster at no cost, and we can have a contractor do it, and it can line up exactly with all the same pictures that were taken prior to the repairs being made. So it's just, like I said, it's a matter of getting them their information and their data more efficiently so that they can make their decision. But I guess I say all that to say this is that in those cases where the money is going to be dispersed and the process is going to be dragged out over maybe 2 months because of all the extra steps that have to go into place. Keep in mind, you're going to pay 10% to have your money now, but guess what? The mortgage company is still going to do their back end checks. So you're paying that 10%. to float the money for what may be an extra 2 weeks in the process, maybe 3. So if that first disbursement takes 2 weeks and or 3 at the max, and then that second disbursement after the job's done, let's say you had it lined up. As soon as that first check came in, you built the roof. Now we have the COC. We get it out to the mortgage company. They have no reason to hold the money until that last inspection's done. So if the inspection company is busy, you might be looking at another 2 or 3 weeks. So you're paying 10% to float your money 6 to 8 weeks. And if that's worth it to you, if you're doing $5 million a year and you want to float, you don't want to float your money and pay $500,000 a year instead of waiting an extra 2 to 3 weeks on a process that you cannot change. That's really up to you and how you want to run your business. But to me, that's a lot of money. I don't know. I wouldn't do it. If it were my company, I wouldn't. But everyone's welcome to run their companies the way that they see fit. And if having that money now is worth the 10%, then more power to them. But the way I see it is, it's truly only applicable to statistically less than 20% of their claims. The rest of them, we can get in and out in sometimes 10 days, but it's typically 2 weeks. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a lot of the questions I had. I really don't have a ton of other questions. The big thing for me is, when I first kind of dove into what iink is and, kind of how iink works, I was familiar with the solutions out there that are essentially like banks, and they're going to give you that loan. And it makes sense. Cash is king, and cash flow is what keeps businesses alive. But finding that third party like iink that can, maybe not get you the money today, but to help with that process, that would be huge. I do have one question here. It looks like Nathan Thibodeau, our good friend at Contractor Coach Pro. What is the average cash flow increase you see contractors once they start with you guys? And I don't know if you've got those as hard numbers yet, just because you guys are newer, but average cash flow increase once they start using iink.
Well, I would say again that it's difficult to give you an actual number on that, Nathan. And like I was saying before, really, the value of our service now is that we're doing it and you're not. I know that's kind of a tough sell, and I understand that, but we are working to improve the turn times. It's not an easy task. I think part of the reason that we're the first and only company that I think has attempted to do this is because it's so difficult, and it's trying to get the mortgage companies to do things differently is it's quite a beast. So for now, what I can say is we have the systems in place and the follow-up procedures in place, the escalation procedures in place to make sure that if the money hits a kink in the process, if it slows down for any reason, we're on top of it. And what happens in a lot of cases, if you're not on top of it, and I get it, some companies have, they've got Mary in the office, and Mary is handles the mortgage endorsements. She's been doing it for years. She gets the money in and out of the mortgage company, and that's great. But what you don't realize is just the little things that could happen where you send the money off, and if you don't follow up with it in a certain period of time, by the time you do follow up with it, if there was a problem, it's like starting over. So if we're able to identify those problems sooner than later, we can correct them sooner than later, meaning that the money's going to come back sooner. And usually when people get put through the ringer of the mortgage companies, it's because they'll send everything off and they'll go through the checklist. They've checked it 3 times. They say, I've got all the documents here. I'm mailing a check off. I'm faxing these documents in. And the company 2 weeks or 3 weeks, they send it off and they kind of forget about it. And it's because they're busy with everything else. And I get it. So by the time they call the mortgage company, let's say it takes 2 weeks for them they say, okay, well, the check should have been back by now. That's everyone's. The check should be coming back soon. Let me call the mortgage company and see where it's at. call the mortgage company and find out that one of the documents that was faxed over in the initial package was not uploaded into the mortgage company system, and it's been 2 weeks. We would have corrected that on day 3. And now you've wasted 2 weeks, because what's going to happen is the correction we could have made on day 3 is now being corrected on day 14 or day 10 or 14. And now, after you get that next document in that they need to verify that you've already sent, it's going to take them another 48 to 72 hours to get it into their system. And then you have to call back to make sure that they actually have it and that the package is complete. So that's the difference between having us do it, full time, or everyone else doing the part. Unless you have, like I said, unless you've got someone fully dedicated to this at all times that has leverage at the like we do, simply, I don't think you can. There may be companies that can get it done as quickly as we can, but you really have to stay on top of it at all times.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's kind of the same as CompanyCam too. Like, you could have somebody in the office that their full-time job is to get pictures from the guys in the field and put those pictures into folders and to sort those. And, that could be a full-time job, or you could have a third party like CompanyCam handling that for you, or in your case, having iink chase that down, those kind of things. Looks like we're a little bit over the 30 minutes. Any last tidbits of information you want to share or anything? Otherwise, I definitely appreciate having you on. And, the great thing about this, a lot of the people we've had on have either been customers or people that we have direct partnerships with. We talk at length all the time, but we don't really have a partnership in place yet. And I know we're working towards having something that kind of works for our customers and iink customers, to help both of them out. But, it's been really nice to just be able to chat with you today and hear about what iink does without having like any direct tie with CompanyCam. And I don't know if you've got any last tidbits of wisdom on Talk About It Tuesday, or.
Well, it's funny because the one thing I was going to mention is how important I think you guys are to the process. And, I appreciate you bringing me on to talk about iink. But for everyone listening, I mean, CompanyCam to us is a no-brainer solution, especially for the price. And we ultimately see it as part of our end game platform to help reduce the time, especially with regards to monitored claims. So, like I said before, I think we can utilize your technologies to satisfy the inspection part of the process with these mortgage companies, and get them the data that they need so that they're happy, their investors are happy, and everybody's happy. We moved money, faster than it's being moved now. So, I guess in closing, I would say that if we aren't there yet for you guys, if our solution does not make sense yet, just stay tuned, and we understand, and we're not here to sell everybody on it. We obviously fit with the companies that for whom it makes sense, but I can assure you that in the next I would say 3 to 6 months, definitely by Q1 of next year, we'll have some additional solutions in place that I think a lot more companies are going to be intrigued with. And when our ultimate platform hits the market, if anyone wants to do it the hard way, and instead of getting it done in less than 24 hours to have the money, I'd be hard pressed to find those folks. But I think we have some really great things coming down the pike.
Absolutely. Well, definitely appreciate you joining us, and look forward to just connecting and seeing you at shows and stuff down the road. And I believe next week's Talk About It Tuesday, we've got Nathan Thibodeau with Contractor Coach Pro. He works right alongside there, Jim Johnson. So those of you watching, get questions to us. We are going to grill Tibbs. We're going to see what he has to offer. You name it, from selling all the way through collecting. Contractor Coach Pro. So little plug for next week. And Ryan, thanks, and have a great rest of your week there in sunny state of Florida.
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it.
Have a good one. Thank you.
Too.